Andy and I are just chatting. I had the
Hey, y'all.
real pleasure of chatting with Andy on his podcast. It was so nice, and I love the way you edited it and how it came out and the questions
Yeah.
you asked me. And then we were talking about Substack, and so we thought it would be fun to do something here that was
Yeah.
more casual. And happy to be hosting. And Andy, do you want to introduce yourself? I mean, most people know you, I would imagine, but just in case they don't.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm AJ Pizza. I'm an illustrator and I have a podcast called Creative Pet Talk. And I also do a lot of like public speaking. I do picture books and lots of client work. So I'm doing lots of different things all the time, which, you know, is indicative of my ADHD, which is another thing I talk about a lot. So, yeah, I think that's me in about as small of a nutshell as possible.
Yeah. Uh, I would say that what would be the hierarchy of things you do, like
Yeah.
the speaking podcast kind of work, and versus your illustration and books,
I think that
etc.
I think it's always shifting. Um, so I've been doing a podcast for 10 years. There was probably, once I started doing Skillshare classes, there were probably a couple of years in there, maybe like 2017, 2018, 2019, where that was like the biggest chunk. But mostly it's pretty spread even, like all the
Hmm.
different things kind of add up to similar amounts of money and time.
Hmm.
But then, when I was in 2018, I was working. So before the podcast, I was doing mostly client illustration. That was almost everything I did. And I did that from 2008 to 2014. But when I was in the middle of this run of the podcast and I was working on this client project in, it was 2017 or 2018. And I remember feeling like if I was like, if I was the art director, there would be other people that I would pick for this job. Like, it's not that now I feel like I get a lot of jobs that are perfect for me, that I do feel like I'm the person to do them. Um, it's and I'm happy to get whatever jobs. It's fine. Like, right. But I was doing this job and I thought it was for YouTube. It was for YouTube. And I just felt like I want to do something that is much more tailored to who I am than this work. And I decided, and that was I was probably at the peak of making money with podcast sponsors and classes.
Hmm.
And I thought, I'm going to use that money to take the risk of going into picture books. And so I kind of thought, I know this is a risk. I don't know if it's going to make much money. I don't even know if it's possible, really. I'd wanted to go into picture books for years before that and just hit a bunch of brick walls. And part of the reason I was weighing this up was because I'd kind of moved on and I got pitched to do this picture book called Dream Machine. And I was trying to fit it in my schedule. And I was like, man, I don't know. I've got so many different things I'm doing. I don't know if I can really justify it. And I ended up taking the plunge because I thought, I'll use this little blip. Because I also knew like this podcast sponsorship thing, I
Hmm.
knew it's a blessing and a curse in that I knew that this was short term. And the reason I knew that was because the price we were getting on ad sales back then was so much higher than YouTube ads.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I thought, and I had already watched YouTube ads diminish their value over the years, and so I thought, there's no way that podcast ads are going to stay this lucrative. Like I just knew that, and I also knew like the Skillshare thing was going to be probably short term, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna use some of this to float while I'm pitching kids books and going into this world. And it was really kind of risky and scary. I didn't really know if it would pay off. And then here we are, like years later. And it's not that it's like made me, into a place where I don't have to think about work. I am still in the thick of it, but
Right. Right.
I'm something like 5 or 6 picture books later, and
Yeah.
some of them have done really well, and the deals
Yeah.
are pretty good. And now
Yeah.
that's as much of a, it might be the most significant. It's up there. I'd say it's still pretty even, but that's become a really big part of what I do.
Yeah.
That's a longer story than maybe you bargained for, so I
No, not
apologize
at
for
all.
that.
It's fine. I love it. I love it. I
Okay.
mean, talking about book journeys and how they
Yeah.
begin and how,
Yeah.
that could be a whole discuss. I mean, we can touch on a lot of things that can be larger discussions. But I find it interesting that you know, of the I guess 3 things, there's 3 main things, the picture books, the podcast, and then maybe what
Client
about
work.
the mentorship work? Would
I
that
don't do a lot of that. I don't do a lot
okay.
of that. There have been seasons where I did more of it. I feel like, um, every once in a while I'll open up some like one-on-one calls. I really love doing it.
Mhm.
Uh, I think it's kind of tough to price, and it's kind of
Yeah.
tough to know. And then also I've learned like it doesn't feel like I just had someone approach me for that. Right now, I don't have any of that open. Sometimes if someone asks me, I will, if I feel like this is someone I could work with, I'll open up a few sessions or something. But what I've learned is it's only really valuable to do about 3 sessions,
Yeah.
because the first session is always, we're going to get into the problems and what you're going through. It's usually like creative and career related. We're going to go deep into that. We're going to get really excited about potential and ideas. And we're going to come up with some plans. And you're going to leave the call. We're going to feel awesome about it. But if we do another call, all of that's going to like settle into your reality. And all the things you're capable of getting yourself to do, and what you're actually excited about. And then if we leave it there, you're probably not going to do much with that.
Mhm.
And so if we do another call, then we can be like, all right, let's get real. All right, what we were excited about that stuff. What was the truth about whether you really could pull this off or get yourself to do it, or what are you hung up
Yeah.
about or whatever. And then we do like a more real plan. And then I feel like those two are usually enough to like do something interesting. And honestly, there's also a personality thing where some people I've worked with have used those plans to do incredible things. Like,
Mhm.
um, publish books and,
It's like,
all kinds of things.
creative coaching, right? I
It
mean,
is creative coaching, yeah.
yeah, I mean, they usually have a limited series, like you buy a
Right.
series, and then you have to go on with your life and do the thing.
Yeah. But that's the other reason why I like the multiple things, is that there's a piece of it that part of the value of this is the accountability aspect, right?
Right.
Like, of just feeling, I've even thought about when I've tried a million times to think about a system that I felt really good about. Um, and one of the ideas was you had like a limited amount of time to book the second call. If you didn't book it, and I'd have to automate all this for it to make any sense. Like, I couldn't be managing all of that. But if you didn't book it in 30 days, then you get refunded. But you
Mm.
could only book it if you had made like 3 pieces in the direction that we talked about. So like
Oh,
some
that's a
kind
good
of some
yeah.
kind of like, you know what I mean? Because I
I'll
feel
only
like
meet
that,
with you again if you
yes,
actually
if you're
do
doing
what I
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's great, yeah.
I think something and honestly, it's one of like I've had I did like 2 semesters of this thing. This was back in like 2016 or 2017, maybe. Um, Maybe 2015. It's not interesting. It's not important, but I think it might have been 2015. I did these
A
two
long
like
time
cohort.
ago.
It was a long time, yeah, like a decade ago. But I did these two cohorts of, they were 10 people each, and we worked on this longer personal project. It was really awesome in so many kinds of ways. And I honestly had moment. This is, I don't know, this is not normal. It's probably borderline manic, but I've had moments after those sessions where I was like, this is the best I've ever felt in my life. And
Really?
yeah, and I even had like, I had a thought. Have you ever seen the movie Interstellar?
Yeah, but I don't remember. Tell
Okay,
me.
so I only saw that this year, but when I spoke about this feeling once on the podcast and maybe in a couple talks, and I had some people come up and be like, "Have you seen Interstellar?" And I was like, "No." And the reason is because there were moments after those sessions, and then there's a few other ones where this is so ridiculous, but I'm telling you because it's ridiculous. Maybe it's even if it's people laughing at me by how ridiculous it is, that's interesting. That's better than being boring, I guess. But I had moments where I was so full of joy
Oh,
that I thought, and gratitude that I'd found these things that I like to do so much that had this weird idea slash feeling, which was like, what if these emotions are so like I don't know, energetically intense that past me could sense them in the future, and that's why I was trying to go these particular directions. Like they were like breadcrumbs into doing these things. Does that make any sense?
well, sort of. I'm wondering.
So ridiculous.
No.
Okay, sorry.
If if you're having some sort of epiphany, and now I'm questioning, was this you being so happy helping people?
Yes.
Like,
It
so
was, yeah.
you were at you had this like moment where you felt um you know uh, on another level of happiness,
Yeah.
and that was you mentoring and helping people, which is pretty meaningful. I mean, and I
Yeah.
would say even if you don't do it a lot now, that is probably something you need to come back to and look at. Although you do help
Yes,
people on your podcast. You
I
do.
know. And
You are very much kind
thanks.
of doing that with the work you do on the podcast, I think.
Yeah.
And the
I
books
lo
and probably all of it,
Yeah,
right? I don't know.
and
Um,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, I was gonna ask you, I feel like I had a list of questions, but we're going in we're
Yeah,
going in different. I mean, I love it. I love hearing about the different things that you do. I mean, and I do very different things too, and sometimes I can't even figure out how I make money and go
sure.
like
Yeah,
what I do every day, you know?
yeah,
just
yeah,
just somehow it all comes together and I'm busy. but
yep,
um but I also can relate to taking the risk with books and
mhm,
you know how much are a big part of what I do, but a lot of it is like such intense work and then it's very quiet because then you
yeah.
just kind of let it be. They have lives of their own and you know,
Do you
yeah.
I had 2 questions about that. One was okay, 2 questions. One is, I was curious if they came to you based on your social following with an idea for a book or whether you pitched that book, and then the second question is or it was just another potential place to go. I don't wanna give if anybody's listening to this, I don't want to give the impression that I'm, like, ultra happy all the time because I am not. And I've talked about this a little bit on the show. Like the past couple years, I've dealt with some pretty significant anxiety and depression, and that's and I think that's pretty common for someone with ADHD too. And there's
Mhm.
all kinds of other factors there. But I always like to, I always want to temper that because I don't want to. Being a pep talk guy, and I
Right.
try to do this on the show. I'm never trying to project. I've got all this figured out and I'm just freaking having a blast every day. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. And so the
I
second
don't think
question
people
was,
think that. Yeah.
okay, good.
I think it's that idea that like you're giving yourself pep talks too.
It's true. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very true. And so my second thought was, or second question was about, I have those similar things where I have those really busy seasons and then slow seasons. And I was curious if do you have a hard time staying busy and staying positive when you're not in the busy seasons? So I guess there's two very different questions. You can answer either one or do whatever you want with it.
Well, I'm a busybody. Like
Yeah.
I can't sit still. It's very hard for me. I have to go to a movie theater if I'm going to watch a movie from beginning to end and focus on it.
Yeah.
Um, like I do not want movie theaters to ever go away.
Yeah.
That's a
Me
whole other
neither.
thing.
Yeah, me
Uh, you
neither.
know, so I'm a multitasker in a way, but I also like we were talking about, I'd like to have like a project and focus. But I'm just a busybody. So even when I'm not that busy, I'll make things to do. I'll figure out
Yeah.
what to do. I can't sit still kind of. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when things get really busy and as I've told you, I get overwhelmed. Um, I the the when I have a long to-do list, I wonder I kind of shut down a little in a way. Like
Hmm.
I can't do it all, so I'll like let things I don't know. I feel like I figure out ways so that I'm very consistent with my busyness.
Yeah. That's
Whether
good.
I'm making it up or I'm tempering the to-do list by like not doing things because I can't
Yeah.
do it. So I'm
Yeah.
always kind of steady, if that makes sense. So that's just how I manage it. But yeah, I mean, the books have always been so good for me because if I'm not that busy and I don't have like client work or I'm not, I feel like the books give me a purpose,
Hmm.
and sometimes, and what I love about it is that that it's like a marathon. It,
Yeah.
now I'm so comfortable with the whole, you know, the process and, how long it takes. And I love how long it takes in a way.
Yeah.
I like the hurry up and wait. I'm like, okay, I'm just waiting, but when I get it, I'll be, on it again. And it's like I've kind of gotten addicted to it. So I don't really want the books
Yeah.
to ever end, but I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see. You know.
Yep.
Anyway,
I
I
have,
had a
yeah,
book
I've,
come out. Sorry, go ahead.
go, no, go ahead. What were
We
you going
have
to say?
books coming out at the same time next year, by the way.
Oh, we do?
hmm
In July?
I'm June.
Oh, June? What's your book?
It's my first coloring book.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah,
What's it called?
it's called Color Your World.
Nice. Okay, so
Kind
it's part of the series.
Sort
That's
of,
so
yeah,
cool. That's
yeah,
awesome. Are
yeah,
you
yeah.
excited about it? Are you done with everything, I'm
I'm
assuming?
done. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah. Now it's just the waiting time with like you, right? I mean,
Yes.
with some,
Are you
yeah.
gonna be are you gonna what's your what do you have you learned this system for promoting? Like do you kind of have an idea? No, okay. All right.
I totally wing it, and I'm
Yeah.
so terrified of book tours and showing up and speaking and
Mm,
being like front facing, and I
really?
like kind of I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm shy, but I do.
It's yeah,
This
it's
one
a
I
lot.
do. It's a lot. I do want to do some things for this book. It's hard. It's a little tricky to have books come out in the summer. I think people are really
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah, my book Invisible Things came out then. I think the good thing is that it's a little bit less crowded in the book world. So that's one element that I think probably worked to our advantage a little bit when we released that one.
Yeah, yeah,
In terms of getting on lists or the radar of things or whatever.
yeah.
Um, I think you have a little bit more luck because it is quieter,
True.
um, but yeah, it's tricky. It's hard because again, it's a lot of stuff that I never get a sense of it feels very much like the throwing spaghetti against the wall and just hoping something sticks because
Exactly.
I don't have any sense of what we've done that has worked. I
No,
have no idea. So then I just do more the next time, usually.
I
Yeah.
literally just emailed with my agent and she said that. She was like,
Yeah.
even if you do have PR hits, it doesn't even direct link to sales and your
Right.
sales were good last week and whatever, like
Yep.
it's just it's not always what you think.
It's pretty mysterious.
It's a real mysterious world. So you just kind of have to have faith that you've done your job. It's like parenting. You've done your job. You've let this
They're
thing
out
out in the
there.
world, and
Yeah.
it's going to do its thing. And I really like, I've learned to accept that. And the thing about the summer, I think it's more about the events and like being doing, like, I had a book party for Draw Your Adventures, and everyone was just so spread out. So
Yeah.
it was like a weird time to have a party for me, and I don't like having parties
Yeah.
for myself. So I just felt like kind of vulnerable and weird, and I don't know. I like, I the publisher, I'm sure you have this, like they give you a system, they tell you, this is when you should do this and when you should do that,
Yeah.
and I kind of follow that, and I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Makes sense.
anyway, well, I was going to ask you. Okay, I had a few questions.
Some
Okay,
questions.
some questions. So drawing.
Yeah.
So the first question is, how often do you have time to just draw and just to draw for you?
Yeah.
And do you keep a sketchbook, and like, do you just have that kind of ritual or not, or do you just squeeze it in when you can? I just curious about
Yeah.
that.
I would say that I go in seasons of it. Really like there's two ways that I draw. One is when I'm doing final work of some kind. And whenever I'm doing that kind of work, I'm at my desk with a light box and I'm drawing the same thing 50 times.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because, that might be an exaggeration. Sometimes it's 5 times, but it's anywhere between those because when it comes to like there's certain applications, like a poster or a t-shirt, um, or something final, advertising work, like where I want it to be a certain way.
Hmm.
And all it is that it's my taste, that it's like, oh, I like it, basically. I like how it went. And there's so much about that is you only know it when you see it. And so
Yeah.
that's one way that I draw is like this very iterative process. It starts with lots and lots of ideating, drawing, writing things until I get kind of a concept. And then I'm going to draw it. And then I'm going to take part of it. If I like part of it, I'm going to take that part and put it on the next piece of paper. I'm going to draw it again. And I'm just going to do that as many times as it takes until I like it. So that's one aspect of the drawing. And then the other aspect is more like uh, a coping mechanism.
Mm.
So it's more like
Hmm.
if I'm going to be stuck somewhere, I'm going to bring a sketchbook. This is one that I had. I had a, I was at a conference where we were kind of, it was great, but there was an expectation that we would go and sit through all of the different speakers.
Hmm.
Um, which I like talks, but I don't like sitting there for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, just, filling
Oh wow.
every
Yeah.
page, just kind of just one after
Oh,
another. And
so
so
great.
if I'm in that circumstance, that's what I'll do. I'll draw as a coping mechanism. And I think some of that stuff does filter in. And I think I'm kind of like probably a little bit trying to put things into my memory bank that I can
Hmm.
pull from. I'm
Yeah.
like looking at everything in the room and drawing it. And I'm
Yeah.
usually like, I'm usually adding a little bit to kind of keep it weird.
Yeah.
So if
Is
I'm,
some of that
go
from
ahead.
observation? Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
like,
okay.
this is the person doing the talk. But then
Uh-huh.
I'm also adding gratitude and giggles, which these are invisible things,
Right.
characters. And then there was a piano in the room, and so I'm like looking at that and trying to like commit to memory, like how to draw a piano, and then I'm adding fantastical elements of it on it. Like I also like finding little weird things. Like there was a little staircase to the little stepladder thing to the stage. And I
Yeah.
thought that's a really interesting thing to draw because you could never make that up in your head because there's
Right.
just these little weird the way that it comes together is just not obvious.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
I love
there
it.
I will do that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I don't do you share your sketchbook anywhere?
Not really. I don't really, I'm not really good at this is what's good about the podcast is that it's this creative habit and practice where I'm exercising. Usually I'm doing an illustration that's conceptual. So I'm like exercising that muscle, making sure I'm still drawing, and keeping that, drawing the way I like to draw, keeping that going, no matter what my week looks like, um, and I'm still posting and sharing and creating stuff. So I'm active. So I like that I have all of that as a regimented thing
Mhm.
because I have a really hard time posting otherwise. Like I just
Right.
I don't like it. It's also like, there's probably a double-edged sword because I put so much time in the podcast,
Mhm.
then I don't want to do anything else. So maybe if I wasn't doing the podcast, I
Yeah.
would spend more time posting and doing different things. So I don't really share that much, but it's not a bad idea.
Oh, yeah, I think people would love it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to ask, like, do you actually just draw by hand
Yeah.
for yourself just to draw, you know? I think we touched on it a tiny bit in the podcast that but, we were more talking about me, so it's fun to hear about you and what how much you are analog too because
Oh
I
yeah.
for everyone here who's listening, I am watching. I had Andy do one of my favorite prompts, which is basically like a roadmap of your day. And it's kind of like this fun, easy way of like breaking your day down into parts and not feeling overwhelmed by a blank page and just having fun with like little icons or little tiny
Yeah.
drawings and words so that yeah. And so I in one of my in my very first Skillshare class, it's one of the exercises we do. So it's something that I have people do regularly. And Andy's was so great. I have it here. Let me see.
Cool.
Um, I can hold it up. I don't know. Wait. So
Yeah, it looks pretty clear.
yeah, it looks clear, right?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Do you want to? But you
I
did
can
this
talk through it.
digitally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so everything I do starts on paper. So I scanned in a line drawing.
Oh, okay.
So I I tried to find the line drawing so I could bring it today, but I couldn't find it. So almost, I mean, I don't do almost anything purely digitally. I don't really like it.
Mm,
So
okay.
it's really hard for me to. I don't like. I really hate sketching digitally. That
Yeah.
feels like nothing like drawing to me. I can't find
Yep.
myself in it somehow. I don't know. I'm sure you understand that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, so everything starts analog, and a lot of it stays analog. Like, I don't know I don't have very many of my picture books here, but a lot of my picture books they all have analog quality, but and have some analog parts of the process, but they've got increasingly analog over the years. This one, um, yeah,
Wait,
this is
time
the
out.
ridiculous.
Time. Let
Yeah,
me
go
just
ahead.
tell everyone.
Yeah,
I will add this to the follow-up email,
yeah,
so you'll
right.
be able to see it. Yeah, okay. Go
So
ahead.
this is about my ridiculous path to get myself to do email. So email is the hardest thing for me to do as an ADHD person. It's really, I've learned a lot, but it's still very hard. If I'm like, oh, I'm going to like really sit down with the inbox today because it's gotten out of control. This is the path it takes. It's like, all right, have a coffee, have another coffee, have a chat, I'm just going to make one thing before I do that. And not all this, it's every day is like that. So
Yeah. So
that's what I wanted to do.
that's why it took you a while to write back when you sent this.
Yeah,
You probably
yeah,
made it and then
yes.
you didn't send it in the email.
It's really, I luckily I feel like I've learned a few tricks to where all the like pressing stuff is usually taken care of. But again, that's an ADHD thing. I'm good with urgency. So that's why the deadline nature, the project based deadline nature of
That was
being
my
a
next
creative person
question.
is
Yeah.
it is the only way. I don't think I could
Right.
exist otherwise.
Yeah.
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 So
That was
yeah.
my next question. Yeah. But so I loved what I loved is and I say this all the time whenever I'm
Mm,
teaching or I just finished a challenge and I tell people this all the time. I really like when people follow the prompts exactly and do the thing, but
yeah.
then when people do something totally different inspired by it, that's when I get really I'm like, "Oh, I somehow sparked something different that
Yeah.
is like the same but different." And that makes me so happy because this is like a roadmap to do one thing rather than like I did this then that, which is a little more
Yeah.
boring. Like this is such a clever
I think they're
way.
different. It's different. I think people I think they just have different pros and cons. Like I
Yeah.
think there's
I'm
a
just
real slice of life thing that you get when someone is willing to be literal. Yeah,
well
go ahead.
I mean like this is one that I just had it on the iPad where it's like
Oh, that's
there's
so cool.
arrows and there are different things that I did, but like
Yeah.
it's just the day and just random things. And then so it's telling a story, but yours is like a real little slice of life story. Like
Yeah.
I don't it's so hard for me to do email. This is all the things and then the arrows when and
Yeah.
and I first of all I just love that phrase, do email.
Well, there's a okay, so here's my one of my favorite quotes around email that I ever heard was it's from I think a mathematician who he said like email is great if your job is to stay on top of things, but he's like my job is to get to the bottom of things. And
Mm,
so that's how I feel. I feel like all the things that I do that are important to what I to my not to the world, but to my life and my creative practice, they require what Cal Newport would call deep work, where you have it takes you 20 minutes to get in, and then once you're in, lots of things can take you out pretty easily.
oh yeah. Yeah.
And so that's my main issue with email is like a lot of people's jobs are a considerable portion are doing emails, are keeping on top of email. Like that's like a lot of how it ends up working. And
Right.
so I have this frustration because I'm like, a lot of these people I work with, I'm like, that's not the majority of what I'm doing.
No.
Like
Yeah.
I need to be away from the computer and away from tasks. And every time if I pause what I'm doing to send an email, I've got to there's this thing about like with deep work, there's a cognitive tax to like that 15-20 minutes when you start doing something that's cognitively difficult. It's excruciating at the start. It's hard to get into it.
Yes.
And so every time you have to restart that, you have to go back through that. And every time I have to restart it, I'm less likely to be able to get myself to
Oh
go
yeah.
through that 20
Yeah.
minute task, you know? So I feel there's Cal Newport has a book called A World Without Email. And I'm like, that's what I'm all
Mm,
about. But I get why, I get what's useful about it. But I almost feel like if I didn't feel like it would be perceived as extremely like diva-ish or something. I've thought about putting in my signature something like, "I do email 3 times a week. I do
yeah.
it for a couple hours. That's it. I can't
Yeah.
do it more than that because I
Yeah.
have to segment it." And usually now if there's something that comes through where it's like, "If you don't answer this now, we're in trouble," I will stop what I'm doing to answer that,
Right.
if I see it. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's gonna be put in these buckets, and
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go through them
That makes
all at
sense.
that
Yeah.
time. And yeah, and I'm still not great at that, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
Yeah.
I have a pretty
Uh,
good system now, I think.
yeah, you have to I always said to my kids like you you need to find that magic place where you can get your work done, especially to
Yeah.
my older son who has ADHD is pretty severe and you know, he has to find the spot and the one reason why I realized he probably got some of his issues from me
Yeah.
is because when I started writing books, because I never thought I could write, and but I can, and
Yeah.
I just need to get myself into a zone where I can do it, and it's so hard for me. So the magic place was Joe Coffee, and I thank them every day, and I've told
Yeah.
many people there, and the owner, which is 3 blocks away from me,
Yep.
and I would get 1 coffee, and they have internet, and I sat down in my spot, and, like, with all the noise and buzz around me, it was the only way I could write. I wrote
Yeah.
I wrote Draw Your Adventures, the entire book sitting at Joe Coffee. It just you have to f you ha if you is like, drawing, I can draw anywhere. In
Right.
the line to check out at Trader Joe's, I always use that example, at a restaurant, wherever, I can draw anywhere. But to write, it's and that's like email for you. And I guess
It is.
yeah. So, anyway, I get it. I really
I mean,
relate to that.
absolutely fascinated by the the I don't know what to call it, but like the neuroscience of how you get your brain to do things, like,
Yeah.
or just so I think about this all the time. I've interviewed a couple. I'm gonna in the future. I have on my list like a lot more people in that world to talk to because I really feel like creativity is like a sport that's your brain. It's using your brain. And it's like one of the, this idea of like the coffee shop. I'm super interested in this concept of externalizing your brain, and
Mhm.
meaning like you have these different quadrants that you have to access more significantly at different times, and the thing about that is this that they're invisible to you. And so you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So how you get yourself to do that, I like what Austin Kleon talks about, where he's like, he has like a work desk and an art desk.
Mm.
And I think what's great about that is the externalization of your brain. Where you're like, okay, when I'm over here, I'm accessing the front left quadrant. And when I'm over there, I'm accessing the back right quadrant. And it's not that scientific,
Oh,
but it's
yeah,
something in that
amazing.
zone. And it's
Yeah.
the same thing of like, there's where could I, and I think what's cool is you have kind of an intuitive sense of that, of where where could my front right quadrant be? Oh, it might be at Joe's coffee shop. That might be where I can find it.
Yeah.
And so I think about that a lot because I think everybody has that where even if you're not neurodivergent, you're still going to have a difficult time not having your creative side and your editor side show up every time at the
Yeah.
same time, same place.
Yeah.
And so everyone deals with that. But then if you're neurodivergent, you have the extra, you have the expansion pack on, dealing with your brain where it's like, now you have a bunch of dragons and demons and things you have to get through to get anything done. And so I always say, like, it's not even that I can be overwhelmed by any size to do list because at the top of that to do list in invisible ink is always, how do I get myself to do these things?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's the first to do. How am I going to, what kind of treat do I need? Like, well, it's the dumbest thing. I hate it. It's so
A
annoying, but that's,
reward.
that's it. Yeah,
A
that's
reward at
what
the
I hope.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, got to have stuff.
Yeah. No, I know. Um, I like prizes.
Oh, me
I
too.
like like a prize. Okay. And I would do that with my kids all the time. For better or
Yes.
worse, I would just be like, yeah. Oh boy.
Yep.
Anyway, um, yeah, so that's interesting. One of my other questions was the assignment thing. And
Mm,
so it's interesting because I draw for myself 90% of the time. So much so that when somebody asks me to draw like I do for a job, it doesn't, like, I need to go back to like a different way. I need to be on the
mm,
computer, or I need to tackle it in a different way because my brain will like shut. It's just such a, it doesn't feel natural, right?
yeah.
Um, when people say, "Can you draw?" a whole scene for, my so and so's birthday or something, and I want it to look like your journal page, or something like that. It just doesn't work. So I say no to a lot of commissions because I'm like, it's
Mm,
just this isn't what I do, like it's
yeah.
not. Um, and then, I have other sort of obstacles with client work, but I do work well with clients when it's more of like my design stuff, like digging back into
Mhm.
design. And like I just finished a poster for Blackwing that I've been working on, and it's very like design, simple design. And so I'm
Yeah.
drawing, but then it's anyway. So there's certain times where I can work on an assignment really well, but most of the time, like, can't really be told what to do with the drawing. It's hard for me.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
I'm just curious for you to talk about that.
Yeah.
That's just something different for me. So,
What you know, there's a couple different things that come to mind with that. One is, um, do you think that like I don't there's a concept in neurodivergent circles that I don't think this is what it is, but I think it's just worth maybe talking about.
mhm,
Um, there's a it's like a phenotype it's of autism, but it comes up in ADHD people too, even if it's a different thing. It's called PDA, and that's
mhm.
not what you think of as PDA, but it's called pathological it's called pathological demand avoidance. And it's
Mm,
just this thing of and I definitely have a lot of this. And I feel like, again, this is a thing that I have to be creative about getting around it. And it's a thing, pathological demand avoidance is when you feel like something is a demand,
mm,
you want to avoid it. Like
mhm.
you, and so, and it's pathological where, like, even a joke that you'll hear with ADHD people is like, there's lots of memes where it's like someone tells you to do something you were already going to do, and then you completely abandon it because you're like,
Oh, right.
well, can't do it now. Can't do it now because I've been
Oh,
told to do it.
and that's
Yeah.
totally parenting, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you
Absolutely.
would see this like a lot with kids just wanting to be, making their own decisions. And if you tell them
Yeah.
that, forget it.
Yeah. And so I think some of it is, I can get that. Um, the reason I bring that up is because there are a lot of I had that come up a lot more when I first started doing client work. There was a
Mhm.
lot of like resistance to, especially notes and edits. Like I would get really frustrated when they would want to change things.
Yeah.
And I think it was just, I think there's a lot of aspects to it,
I
but
totally have this, whatever this PDA is.
yeah, I just like, I'm like, oh, I would really get aggravated when they would want me to change things. So I think part of it is over time it got more comfortable. I just got used to um I think there were I think there's two things. One, I got used to that relationship and I kind of have a method of working in that way now. And then also I think a lot of my client work now is so close to what I do for myself
Right,
that I'm
exactly.
mostly
And
able to just do it.
yeah, at a certain point, you get to this point where you can say to people, or they come to you and say, "You just do you. That's all I
Yeah,
want." And then that's when it works the best. And
very
that's what
much
I
so.
think I've been waiting my whole life to be at that place, and I'm at that place.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
it's a good place to finally be where it's like people just want me to be me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder, like, do you feel that way? Do you feel a resistance if, let's say, a magazine comes to you and they're essentially asking you to do what you do, but maybe for a pre existing article? Do you still have that resistance?
Um, really depends on what it is. Sometimes people don't they really can't tell that my style won't work when I'm doing when I'm drawing something that I mean, there's so many examples. Like
Yeah.
I just drew a building in Miami, an Art
Mm,
Deco building, and I shared it on Substack. I just shared a note, and it's so funny how different it is. But it's just
mm,
because it's a different building, and
yeah.
I always draw New
Yeah.
York, and
Yeah.
so it just, I mean, in for that it worked, and I chose to draw it, and it's fine. But it's amazing how, like, people will ask me to draw something that I don't even know an example, but in, like, I don't think that's gonna look good in my style or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know because I draw
Yeah.
everything, so I can't really say that. But there's been a bunch of times where it's been hard. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's difficult.
it's difficult. I'm learning about it, and I'm figuring it out. But I did a job, one of the covers for Criterion, and the Eric Skillman, who is the art director, he said, "I want you to just do you." Like,
Mm,
it was awesome. Um,
that's cool.
but it was definitely hard because I was like, "Wow, I have this idea now. How do I do
That can be
it?"
hard. Yeah.
So some direction you want. I can't really say. Everything's confusing. Every job has its challenges, but I don't know. For me, it's hard because, and I also only started drawing really like 11 years ago, so I'm like finally getting into a groove with it, and with really my style and what I want to do. And so the books were like great because I could just share what I do on my own. Um
Yeah.
and yeah.
The reason I asked about that editorial thing is because I was just thinking, like, if there were if there were jobs where it worked well, anytime I experience that, I'm like, I'm gonna do more work in this vein to try to tell people this is what I do. This is what these jobs do work for me. Bring those to me,
Yeah.
and then I feel like early on, I would get jobs that were really for like alcohol brands and stuff like that, like advertising stuff. And every time they would say, "Okay, we love it. We just need to age it up a little bit. We need to it needs to be like kind of for adults." And I'm like, every time I got that, I was like, this project's over because
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know what it is I'm doing. And so I
Yeah.
think that there are
Yeah,
little hints like that where it's like, oh, I need to actually double down in that direction. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go into picture books.
yeah, that's so
You know,
interesting. It's like it's hard to pinpoint. It's hard to say like a definite answer of, or, I don't do this or I won't do, because there's always exceptions, and
true.
everything's always a little bit different.
It's true.
But you know, yeah, it's anyway. What one what well, I want to talk about Substack because
Yeah.
we should go probably in like 5 or so minutes, and
Okay.
I could talk to you for 5 hours,
Yeah.
but
Same. Very fun.
yeah, we'll do it again. And we didn't get to
Yeah.
draw. We were going to
That's
draw,
okay.
but
Yeah. That's okay.
next next time. Um,
Yep.
so Substack, I'm curious, like, how it feels here for you versus other social media, and what, like, the vibe here. How is it? Yeah, how is it compared to your other social media? And you said I don't think you've done many lives here, right?
No, I've not done any,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh well, yeah.
I haven't done any. So yeah, first one. And
All
it's really
right.
nice. Um, but I really love Substack. I think what's fascinating about it to me is it kind of is a realization of something that a principle that I carry. Like, I don't know if this resonates with you, but I think I'm really fascinated by how influenced we are by culture, like
Mm,
really heavily. I just feel like when I talk to people, it's inescapable, this like group think. And the reason I bring that up is because almost every artist I talk to, so 8 out of 10, not all, but 80%, they can't stop thinking about short form video. They can't stop thinking about it. Like they're
Because
they're hyper fixated. What's that?
you mean like the doom scrolling and like watching
Yes,
short
like Instagram, TikTok, like
yeah, yeah.
meaning they feel like every musician, every illustrator, every designer I know, not everyone. Like I said, there are some that don't, some that have found Substack and really love it, or found YouTube and are loving that, or whatever. And I'm so fascinated by this. And I feel the pull myself. It's not that I don't understand it. It's just that what I love about Substack is it is alternative culture.
Mm,
It it isn't the mainstream culture. Now, it's not like wildly alternative and underground, but it isn't at the center of culture. And I think illustrators are in this really weird boat right
mm,
now.
mhm.
I'm just like, I can't get enough of it. It's like a sociological thing. It's like so interesting, but also painful for me too as an illustrator. But I'm also fascinated with, we had this crazy experience of being within the skill set of the center of culture. Like Instagram at its height,
Yeah,
when it was a still image
yeah,
platform, illustrators, photographers, people that were good, look good on camera in photos, like those people were, I actually think they were probably the center of culture,
yeah,
because that every person, the majority of Americans, that was their number one kind of media relationship. And
yeah,
I think we are having an incredibly difficult time moving out of that season. Like, and of course, it doesn't feel good to be less relevant or whatever. Um, so I'm really fascinated by that. And so, but at the same time, it aligns with my core value, a core value of, or core principle of doing a creative career is, you don't need millions of fans, and you'll never get them. Like if you happen to be the one of the people that get millions of fans, you are as likely to win the lottery. It's just not in your control. So,
right.
forget that. If it happens, great. It probably won't. You don't need a million fans, though. You don't even need, if you're working in B2B business, like business to business, working with clients, that kind of thing. If you're doing that, you don't even need 1,000 true fans. You only need 10 or 15 a year, like 10, 15 fans. And they're art directors, right? Most people,
They have to be
most,
certain fans, though.
yes, there's certain people. And so the thing is that that's what I'm really interested about. There's two reasons why Substack is so interesting and good for creative people. One is, a lot of people that care about creativity are on Substack. So, yes, we don't have a lot of the people, we don't have a lot of the like, we move, like there was a time when Instagram was at its height, my neighbor followed friends of mine just completely randomly. These are just
Right,
everyday civilians are following illustrators, right?
right.
And so as the world kind of shifted from that, we aren't centralized in culture in the same way that we were. And that's a little bit sad, but also doesn't really matter. It doesn't, because that was a blip. Illustration existed before that. It's going to exist after that. And your career doesn't really, very few people made their career, very few people had a big enough following and a robust enough business model to make that worth anything financially.
Mm,
It might have helped, get a book deal, or it might help get on some client's radar or whatever. But I just think it's really interesting that Substack, what I love about it is it's actually a little countercultural thing
mm.
where lots of people that care about most of the stuff I care about are. They
Yes.
care about art, they care about film, they care about journalism, they care about books. Like, and so anytime I'm telling an illustrator, you should go on Substack.
Yeah.
And they resist it. I'm like, it's because you know the mainstream isn't on there.
Yeah.
And there's just this weird
Right. Right.
pull. Does that make sense? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I think it does make sense. I think that you know, I think that's what's beautiful about it is connecting with people in a real way again.
Yeah.
Even on a deeper level, because we're reading their work and we're seeing more of it and we're doing things like this. But it's catered to like what we want in a real
Yeah.
beautiful way rather than the ads and the this and the and I've been avoiding videos forever. I don't because
Yeah.
I see it as like performing. And I don't
Yeah.
really, the same reason I don't want to go on like a live book tour and it's the same shyness. So I don't like performing so much in those videos. And this is like a way for me to finally be able to share in like a really beautiful way of like my
Hmm.
writing and ideas and multiple images and talk to people and get to know people. And um so it's been great in that way. I mean, like
Yeah.
I didn't really know you until Substack, where I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
my
Same.
god, I've seen Andy's work and I know what he does." But then I like
Yeah.
finally felt like here's a place where we can connect in a different way. It's just like I don't know, I'm finding it really nice that way.
Me too. I think I really feel like it's gathered a lot. It's not, obviously, there are all these different sections of Substack and everyone has their little silos and everything. But I do think generally, in terms of people that are interested in culture, it's one of the places where people are congregating around that. And I think that's where all your art directors are going to be. And then also, it just has this is a whole another career aside. But if you're getting super nerdy about the marketing aspect of your creative, customer journey, it has, unlike a lot of other places, a lot of them are trying to like kind of catch up with this, but they have this ability to get discovered by people,
Mhm.
develop deeper relationships with long form content with people, and sell to people all in the same place. Whereas a lot of with Instagram, you you really only got discovered.
Right,
And so you got discovered, but you couldn't really go deep with people very easily. The best you could do is do long captions back in the day.
right.
Like you're not able to develop any like deeper trust with anyone. You're not really selling anything. Everything you're doing is like trying to get them off Instagram. And then of course Instagram didn't want that. So they were gonna like,
Yeah.
bury anything that's trying to get anybody out there. So that's the other
Yeah.
thing I think is a great benefit to artists about this platform is you don't really have to do anything else. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you shouldn't, but it does have the capabilities of it has the discovery aspect, it has the long form, it has the sales, and I just think
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. And it
Yeah.
might not be great forever, but I'm
I
liking
know.
it.
I know. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, I'm very honored that I was your first live.
Yeah. We should do it again. It was really fun.
It's great for me to just chat with people on here and get to know people and then like I don't know, we'll see if we can do it again with the drawing because
Yeah.
I think
I'd
everybody
love
would
to.
love and I would love to see you draw. So,
Cool. I would
I'll
love to do
revisit
that.
that in the new year. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much, Andy. I will send this all in a follow-up email and share your roadmap with
Cool.
everybody.
It's
Um,
great. Great seeing you, Samantha.
okay. You
And thanks
too.
for inviting me on here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.